Right now it's minus 4 degrees centigrade outside. And if you have an electric vehicle, you'll know that you lose range, you lose efficiency in winter. And if you have an externally mounted home battery, the effects are the same. All batteries are affected when they get too cold. But what specifically happens to a GivEnergy battery if the temperature drops? If it gets to about 10 degrees centigrade, you'll start to notice a little bit of an efficiency drop. If it gets to 5 degrees centigrade, then you will notice some efficiency and capacity drop. It's temporary, it will come back when the temperature rises again, but effectively you could lose up to 10% of capacity if it gets below 5 degrees centigrade. If it gets below 0 degrees centigrade, then it will stop charging. It will still discharge up to minus 10 degrees centigrade, but you won't be able to charge the unit until again the temperature rises. Now, to be very clear on this, this isn't outside temperature or room temperature that the battery's in. This is internal temperature inside the unit, the battery's temperature inside here. So if it's minus 3 outside, it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be minus 3 inside, especially if the battery is discharging and charging and generating heat. Now, an electric vehicle, it varies, but typically they will have some sort of thermal battery management that will put heat into the battery, and that uses electricity. It costs a little bit of money, but it maintains a stable battery temperature. With the GivEnergy battery, it doesn't have any internal thermal management per se. You get your heat from these by charging and discharging the batteries. Now, a lot of people watching this will already be doing this, whether they realise it or not. So for example, I'm on a time of day tariff. My off-peak period, if you will, is for 6 hours during the night when it's usually coldest, and then for the other 18 hours the battery powers the house, so it slowly discharges. So it's got a high charge and then a slow discharge throughout the 24-hour cycle. So if you're on a time of day tariff, if you charge at night, you're already doing this. This graph here shows my battery temperature. So you can clearly see during the night, in the early hours of the morning, when I charge, the temperature of the battery climbs, and then over the day it stabilizes again through steady discharge. This is the best way of negating some of that temperature drop, putting heat into the battery by charging it at night and having it slowly discharge throughout the rest of the day. If you rely solely on solar panels to charge your battery, which in winter probably means it's not doing much at all, if anything, then your battery is just sat there, it's dormant, it's not charging, it's not discharging, there's no heat being generated inside this box. In that case, I would do what someone like myself on a time of day tariff would do and set the battery to charge for a period of time, a few hours maybe, at night. Ideally, fully charge it. This will obviously cost you a little bit of money from the grid, but then that will be discharged back into the house. So although there will be efficiency losses, there will be conversion losses there, we're talking tens of pence per day to maintain the battery temperature to a better level inside your unit. To keep the battery at a healthier temperature last night, my car outside went from 80% to 78%. Effectively, that cost me money. So this is the same sort of thing. For me, it's something that all batteries have. You may notice it, you may not notice it, but essentially the heat has to come from somewhere, the energy has to come from somewhere, and there's always a slight cost to that. If you want to find out what the temperature of your battery is doing, it has to be done on the portal. There is nothing in the app at present that tells you the battery temperature. Click on the power graph. Then at the top here, click on that and just highlight battery temperature. Feel free to untick the other things just to make the graph a little bit neater, but here you will see my battery's temperature over the last 24 hours. And that's where you can find out your battery temperature just to see what it's doing. Little tip, drop the charge rate, depending on what battery you've got, to a level where it will maintain charging that battery for as long as possible. So for example, I'm on a 6-hour time of day tariff, so I have 6 hours to charge it up cheaply. I don't want that charging over 3 hours and then just sitting there for a couple of hours because I've charged it too fast. I've lowered the charge speed of my batteries so they fill up within about 5.5 hours. So I'm still getting it all at the cheap rate, but I'm charging for as long as possible. If you're on the all-in-one, try and keep the charge rate above 3.6 kilowatts. I generally say 3.8 to 4.2 is the sweet spot because that will aid calibration. In the very near future, in fact it might be out by the time you watch this video, we are putting in something called winter battery management or thermal winter weather management. We don't even know what it's going to be called yet, but it will be accessed via the portal. It's something you have to turn on, and this will automatically look after the battery's temperature for you. So if it drops below 2 degrees centigrade, it will do a 30-minute charge on the battery. And then after 30 minutes, if it's still too low, it will do another 30-minute charge until the temperature has risen. So once that's out, we will of course tell you all about it and announce it online, but go onto the portal, turn that on, and then essentially it will stop it from freezing at least. So it will be a fire and forget solution. Now, there are lots of people out there that are actively insulating their batteries, especially if they're outside the house. This is something that GivEnergy are actively looking into in terms of bringing a product out which will just fit the battery nicely and insulate it to a better extent. I'll be honest, this isn't going to come out overnight. It's not coming out anytime soon, especially given we're about to go into the warmer months. But we will be doing a video in the near future to say if you do want to insulate your own battery, create your own enclosure, then at least these are the constraints. These are the things that you do want to do, these are the things that you don't want to do. Right, I'm done. Thank you for watching. As I said earlier, charging and discharging the battery is the best way of doing this. It's all set up quite easily in the app or the portal. And if you're on a time of day tariff, you'll already be doing this anyway. If you're not on a time of day tariff, but it is something that you can get, I strongly suggest you look into that because it will save you a lot of money every day of the year if set up correctly. That is something, again, we'll do in a future video. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.